Action.
Welcome to Off Camera, the UC Film Society radio show all about movies. I'm Ollie.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Cam.
And we'll be your directors for this episode. This week we'll be talking about our recent watches and then diving into a segment on music in films and TV.
Pretty much. There's
Exciting.
no other way to say it. It's not about... Yeah, this is purely about the music, nothing to do with like sound design or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think we've
Music
talked
in
about
film.
doing an episode like this for a while. We just haven't got around to it.
It's a big episode.
Very big episode.
Yeah, it is. We've got a bunch of categories. But before that, let's get into recent watching. I'll go first, I guess.
Yeah, go.
So I watched Friends and Strangers, which is a 2021 film for Australian National Cinema. And it's about, well, here's the definition. Friends and Strangers follows two middle-class wanderers in a dryly comic exploration of inner Sydney. It's very, like, awkward teenager, middle class, yeah, pretty much. I don't know why this film is so highly rated. It really didn't resonate with me. The main character is awkward and his motivations are never clear.
So I wouldn't survive watching this movie.
Probably not. Also, there's not really a plot. He goes from camping at Lake Burrinjuck just up the way, which is actually really cool. I'd recommend it. Back to Sydney to then do some filming for a guy, but then his friend gets locked in someone else's house and he goes on like a weird trip and ends up on the
Spoilers.
beach. This is-
Spoilers.
No one's going to watch this film. This
I'm
is such
supposed
a,
to for class,
this is
but I don't
crap.
think I will.
What's it called again?
Friends and Strangers.
Friends and Strangers.
It honestly just feels like a really long student film,
Yeah.
just from the acting and the story wise. However, the cinematography is really good. There is a lot of pretty imagery in this movie, but that's probably the best thing about it.
Yeah. We watched some of them in class. It just did not work for me. Although I like those movies. I like movies where, characters go on these weird journeys. But it has to be executed well, and it has to be
Yeah,
told
but there's
well.
not really an end.
Yeah, and that's also
He
annoying.
wakes
It
up
has
on
to
a
go
beach
somewhere.
and his mum's
eventually,
there.
in my
It's like,
opinion.
okay.
Damn,
Yeah, yeah.
really got spoiled.
Sorry, because you were definitely going to watch this film.
100%. Yeah.
Well, the prompt is due today.
Is it?
The-
There wasn't a due date on my...
True.
Canvas.
The writer-director has only worked on short films before.
That's why
Interesting.
it feels like a short film. Honestly, when I watched it, it didn't feel like it. It just felt like it didn't feel like it was an hour and 20 minutes.
Did it feel like a short film that was extended to something longer? Those are usually how those feel.
It
in
felt
my
like
opinion.
a film that shouldn't be as long as it should, as long as it was. There was a lot of stuff that didn't need to be there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's annoying.
but I don't know. I would not recommend this film
Fair
unless you're looking for brain rot to watch.
There's probably better
Fair
brain
enough,
rot
then.
too, anyway.
What else did you watch?
Unironically, I started watching Bluey.
Yeah, Bluey's
Last
fantastic.
night?
Bluey's
It
really
went
good.
through like 40 episodes.
What were you watching it on?
On my iPad. On
What
ABC
service?
iView.
Okay, yeah.
So for Aussies, it's, well, if you're in Australia, it's free on ABC iView, but everyone else has to watch it on Disney Plus, I believe.
Yeah.
But it's not all there. There are some episodes that aren't on iView.
Really?
That's what I thought when I started watching it,
Oh, I didn't know that.
but maybe not.
Maybe it was hard.
But
to
each
like,
episode is
find
like
specific
8 minutes,
episodes.
so it's so
Yeah, yeah.
easy, and they're funny 8 minutes.
The
Part
episode
of-
Rain is amazing. That's the only one I've seen.
Rain, Cricket, and Sleepy Time.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
Sleepy Time's like the most renowned episode.
Yeah, even not being a kid, watching these is like making me cry. They're so
Yeah.
emotional.
100%.
And it's great for like aspiring writers
Yeah,
because
It's good writing.
it's like really succinct. It's 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That's an 8 minutes, 8-page script, if that. But it tells you so much.
And they're all good concepts for short films,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
They did also just come up with a half-an-hour episode that
Interesting.
I was
True.
talking about, and apparently it is amazing.
Of course it is.
So that's what I'll be doing when I get home.
Yes. And anything else you watched?
Lego Movie Part 2, but we're not going to talk about that.
And anything else
Dude,
you watched?
come on, Cam.
Let me have a look. I can't remember. This is over the space of a week.
Well, when I get to recent watching,
You
he'll
go
remember.
then. You go right now.
So I'll start with what Cam's obviously missing out on. I watched the first 6 episodes of Amazon Prime's Fallout.
Oh,
You're so
I watched the
stupid.
first 3
You're so
episodes.
Yeah.
stupid, Cam.
Sorry. I've been,
Cam, you can talk about it first,
I had
and then I'll
to
talk
like
about
I set the Media Research Center on fire today.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm busy. I've got other things going on. Yes,
This happens.
No
we've
worries.
all of us have been watching Fallout. Ollie, I think you've only watched 2 episodes.
I've watched 1.
1 episode. I've watched 3, but Jake's watched all of them.
No, I've
No?
got 2 more left.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, we can maybe save this for a later discussion when we've all watched it.
We all think it's amazing.
But
As all of us who have played some of or a lot of the Fallout video game series and just loved it,
yeah,
this is an awesome TV show.
this is the best video game adaptation of all time.
Yep.
In my opinion.
That's
No,
crazy.
Halo.
Yeah. And I was not
Better
ready.
than The Last of Us?
100%, because Last of Us, while amazing and does make some changes from the game, it's following that story.
Like, it's pretty much...
The Fallout,
This is an
it's a
adaptation,
new
though.
story
Yeah.
just set in that world. It's so impressive.
I think that with the Last of Us series and that world, there aren't other stories that you can pick up on where Fallout is
That's
such
very
a,
true.
such a wide...
What
array
I
of
thought was
stories.
really cool, which you showed me, was it's like canon to the universe.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the time... I mean, I know they do it now with Star Wars, with like Fallen Order and Survivor, but a lot of the time the TV show and the games, or the movie and the games, are separate, completely separate entities. Like, it's the same world, the same concept, but it's not the same. Like, the events aren't canon, like one or the other.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's the same world, and all the events of the games have happened in the past,
Yeah.
in the events of the show.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love literally everything about it, and I wasn't ready for it to be as good as I think it is. Also, I watched Annihilation by Alex Garland, which is a sci-fi horror film that I just loved. I loved the premise. I loved the world building, the atmospheric nature of the film. The first 2/3 are really good, and then like the final third is just unbelievable. And he's a great director. Last night I saw his new movie, Civil War, in IMAX. A movie that I was really interested in because there's a lot of polarizing reactions to this film. I came in knowing like a lot of people that I respect online hated it, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
As an American, though,
Yeah.
because coming from our audiences, we don't really have, like from Ollie and I's background, we don't really know
hmm
too much about...
Well, like, I know I've learnt in history
But
about
yeah.
the American Civil War,
Yeah.
the original American
Yeah. This is
Civil
the
War.
OG.
This one's different. It's set in the near future.
Yeah.
And, you know.
But-
Yeah, what did you think about it from an American perspective?
So funnily enough, this movie does not go into the politics at all, which is why a
Interesting.
lot of people hate it. And I understand that. It's a weird choice, especially for a movie called Civil War. It's much more focused on the actual battles and the it follows journalists, so it's more about them just capturing the photos.
Right.
Whether or not these people are, you know, whose side they're on, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I didn't really have any perspective as an American. I mean, obviously it was very scary because that's something that could happen in America very evidently, and I think the film is commenting on that obviously, but I was just more focused on the filmmaking and, you know, some of these sequences that were just breathtakingly put together. The sound design was amazing, and I never like jumped. I got jump scared just by the sound design before, and
Wow.
like the gunfire, it felt like I was right next to it. It was so scary, so visceral. I was really impressed by the film. I really want to see it again. But it's an interesting film to think about, and I can see why a lot of people did not like it and even like hated it, which is weird. And it's also a film that I could weirdly see myself not liking on a second viewing. So it's a very interesting film to talk about and discuss.
But
Yeah.
would you watch it again?
100%. 100%. I also saw Dev Patel's Monkey Man, which is a movie I was really hyped for.
I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, it was awesome. He is so cool. You can see how much he put into this project, just from an acting standpoint, from a visual standpoint, from the story. I mean, you know, I had a lot of issues with it, if I'm being honest. But a lot of that was just like taken down by how exciting it was when it was great. And
are there issues with the story or with the filmmaking?
No, the filmmaking's perfect. It's the story. And the film was passed around by Netflix and a bunch of different studios and chopped together, and you can tell it's a bit rough in the pacing, and the narrative itself is good. It's just not executed well in my opinion. Right. But oh my god, like the sequences are just amazing. He is such a cool person to watch on screen.
And you can see that for his directorial debut, he'll get more.
He's going to make a masterpiece. Like this, because this was so close to being one already. So, yeah, I'm so excited to see what he does next. There's some just unreal kills in this. It's very much a John Wick style movie, and just you see it in his culture too, and it's awesome. And then that same day, I saw Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, which was the stupidest movie I've seen in years, and I loved every second of it.
That's what everyone has said.
It did exactly
what. No, is it fun? Yes, but like there are a lot of movies that are like that, but this is like the peak of that.
100%. It did exactly what it needed to do. I've never seen any of the Godzilla Kong universe movies.
Really?
No, I didn't need to.
You have though, right?
I've seen all of them except for Godzilla -1, which is technically a different universe anyway.
I meant,
but like all of the MonsterVerse, the legendary
that's
monster,
what I meant.
movies. I've seen all of them except Godzilla X Kong.
What about Rampage?
That's not in the universe. But I think like I was before Godzilla vs Kong. I got really into them. And like I read the comics that are set in the universe, and like had the whole lore, and so I felt like when it came to Godzilla vs Kong, they had this plot, and then they just went big kaiju fight,
and it's sick,
which is sick. It was awesome. I really enjoyed the movie, but it was missing some of like there's so much lore that they could really dive into. That like they have from all these old movies and comics and stuff, which they didn't. I haven't seen Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, the show, which is very well liked and is getting a season 2.
It's similar
and
to
is more of that lore.
Kong, though, right? It's that kind
like
of
Kong Skull Island. It's
Kong Skull
in the
Island.
past and in the present.
I really liked that actually. It was quite a good film.
The highest rated one, I think. But yeah, I'm excited to see Godzilla X Kong. I keep seeing spoilers, but I almost don't care just because it's vibes.
There's some hilarious scenes in this that have to be seen to be believed.
But I've been seeing so much, I've been really wanting to do a binge watch of the whole franchise.
Lately. I would probably watch them, but I wouldn't watch them alone. I feel like these films you have to watch with friends.
Let's do it then. Let's do a binge watch.
I'm down.
All right, we'll set it up. Winter semester.
And I also watched Damnation, which is a Russian film that was really well made, but I couldn't connect to it all. I really admired it, but I wouldn't watch it again. And that's it.
Fair enough.
I also watched Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, great movie.
Awesome. I only watched one movie. We had an excursion for our bus stop class, and we went to the National Film and Sound Archive and watched Blueback, which is a 2022 feature by Robert Connolly based on a Tim Winton book of the same name. And it really blew me away. Like, I had no expectations going into it, except that I had been told it was a film about a whale. That was a lie. It's not about a whale at all.
Is it about a fish?
It's about a fish.
Big fish?
It's about a fish, but it's not about a whale. So I kept waiting for this whale moment. There are whales in it, but
I knew it.
It's not about a whale. But it was I really enjoyed it. It was really heartfelt, really wholesome, like well shot. The story is like pretty straightforward. It's nothing out of this world, but it's just wholesome. And so I didn't really have anything to fault it on, even though like it typically gets sort of like 3 stars, 70-ish%, that sort of rating. But I gave it 5 stars because it just really did. It hit the spot for me, and I had, even if it wasn't perfect, I had nothing to fault it on.
And that, sometimes it's these like small hidden gems of movies that you don't really hear about, and then you watch it and go, why aren't more people talking about this?
Yeah. And Robert Connolly, he also did the Dry movies, the Dry movies, and Paper Planes. So he's that sort of like Aussie, like, grounded story filmmaker, and I think
That
we're
always
going to
seems
get to do a
hit, though.
Q&A with him as well, which is
Oh,
really
that's
cool.
awesome.
Oh, isn't he? He's coming. Aren't we doing a? I think we're doing a voice, like a FaceTime with them, with two directors.
Yeah, that's not Robert
Oh, that's
Connolly,
someone
though.
else. Never mind.
But yeah,
Ignore me.
that'll be cool. I'm looking forward to that because I think, he wrote, directed,
Mhm.
and even though, like, some people have said, yeah, the writing's a bit stilted. There are some moments of that, but I found it really compelling.
Mhm.
One thing that really stood out, the main character, you see her as a young girl, a teenager, and an adult, and the actress who played the teenager version, whose name is Ilsa Fogg,
Mhm.
has never been in anything else.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
well, okay, maybe in short films, but like
Mhm.
they're not credited on IMDb. Only been in this feature film. Absolutely the star of the show. Like, I thought the best acting in the show came from.
Not credited on IMDb.
Well, she's credited for this film,
Yeah.
but not for anything else. So
Oh, wow.
it looks like this
Okay.
is the only acting gig.
That's
she's
really
ever done.
impressive.
That's
And so-
really good.
It was, yeah, really cool.
Mhm.
So keen to see where she goes.
Nice.
But yeah, I watched that. I watched all of The Spectacular Spider-Man,
Oh, nice.
which is a TV show that I've been wanting to watch for a long time.
Oh, you've
because
never seen it?
I had seen the first 2 episodes a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
but I never actually jumped into it.
Mhm.
But it's considered like one of the best Spider-Man adaptations of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to just sit down and watch the whole thing, and I did. And yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so sad that it got cancelled after 2 seasons. But I just yeah, it's sad, but I watched a bunch of videos about what was meant to happen, and I read all of Greg Weisman's, the executive producer,
Yeah.
showrunner, his notes on what would have happened, and it sounds cool, but it sounds pretty standard to Spider-Man. Like, it would have been cool to see them animated, but it would have been a Spider-Man adaptation.
I think we'll see more of that character.
It is possible.
People
He
adore him.
showed up in Across the Spider-Verse, and it is interesting listening to Greg Weisman's opinion on it, because pretty much everyone is like, Spectacular Spidey wouldn't do that. Like, he wouldn't agree with Miguel and be
Yeah.
against Miles. He
Mm.
pretty much in one of the final episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man, he says, "I will never look the other way again," because he
Mhm.
looked the other way for Uncle Ben's killer.
Mm.
And then him being in Across the Spider-Verse is basically like, yeah, I'm looking the other. Sometimes you have to look the other way, which is not his character. But basically, what Greg Weisman said is like, we are seeing all these universes, these alternate universes. Maybe there's one that is almost exactly parallel to Spectacular Spider-Man, where the only difference is that Captain George Stacy has black hair instead of white hair, and that Peter would be willing to look the other way sometimes.
So that's just
And is
him
otherwise-
going, no, that's not my Spider-Man.
But it's similar enough
Yeah.
that people can get something of value
Sure.
out of it.
Yeah.
How does it compare with like Iron Man Armored Adventures? Is that kind of vibe?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, what? You
There's-
should.
I haven't seen a lot of
Honestly?
these animated ones. The
Still
reason I
slaps.
started watching it like a couple of months ago was because I had seen this other animated Spider-Man show a lot when I was a kid. I think it was, I think it's just Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man is what it's called.
Oh yeah.
And I had just watched Across the Spider-Verse, and I remembered that this Spider-Man show existed where Spider-Man is there, and Miles and Gwen also have spider powers, like
Yeah.
from the jump, pretty
Yeah.
much. And so I wanted to see what that was like. I watched 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, boring. And then I saw that everyone thought Spectacular was the best one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why I watched it a couple months ago. But then, now I jumped into it finally.
Yeah.
And then I also watched 1 episode of Fallout.
Nice.
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's great.
But that's all I watched this week.
That one?
Yeah, that one.
I think we'll need to
Okay.
do a Fallout deep dive
We will.
because I got so much to say.
I will have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But I don't at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just give him a hot minute.
The first episode is still my favorite, though. personally.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. That was great.
I just thought the opening was, it really like sets the tone.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Just a little bit on the first episode.
Yeah.
I could kind of feel that they were raiders, the other vault.
Well,
I knew something was up.
they
Yeah.
immediately, like, as soon as they're eating at the wedding,
Yeah, it's
you
like,
know something's up.
yes, these are not, oh, they're raiders, right? Because the gunners would be more of they're more militaristic. They have
Mhm.
different
I thought maybe
vibes.
like something terrible had happened to the vault and they were starving.
Mm.
I didn't know that it would be raiders.
Yeah, me neither.
But I knew
something was up.
bad
Well, I mean, they
was up.
they neglected the crops in the vault. That's why they're starving. And that's why they decided to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that at
Fair
another
enough,
time.
fair enough, yeah.
Now, the main reason we're here
It's because this is a weekly show.
is because this is a weekly show and we'll get fired if we don't.
Contract obligations.
Yeah,
Obligations.
Obligations. Let's talk about music
Yeah.
in film.
Hell
So,
yeah.
you love it, you hate it, it's there, it's not there.
It's
This is a-
there. Most of the
it's
time
most of the
there.
time.
I
it's
love
there.
it. I love it. I think it adds so much to whether my enjoyment of the film.
Well, you can't imagine having a film without music.
Yeah, I think it's
That
so
would be
important.
Pretty garbage.
I think it's so important. A good score can carry a movie for me, to be
Yeah,
honest.
100%.
Yeah.
Which is interesting when we make our short films because a lot of the time
You're not
they
thinking
don't
about
have
it.
music
Yeah.
until like the very final moments of the edit when you go onto Freesound or YouTube Audio Library and you just get something.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like, we're not collaborating with composers from other like degrees or from ANU or whatever, which we should be,
Yeah.
because I personally know like 3 or 4 composers, which is so random.
Mm.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's very
I like the idea of giving a composer a script and then using their interpretation with a little bit of the director's vision
Mhm.
to make specific tracks for specific parts of the film, and then you can chop and change on whatever you need.
which is sort of what we did, really.
Which is
recently.
sort of what we did, and well, it was exactly what we did
Yeah.
to a point with the drop off, and I think
Hi, Charlie. He'll listen eventually.
eventually, and yeah, I think if we go into making a film with an idea of this is what it should look like, but also this is what it should sound like, not just through sound effects and that kind of thing, but through actual score and how I want the audience to feel, and how can I punctuate with it with different instruments and motifs and stuff. Because I don't think I've ever seen a student film that has a specific motif for a specific character woven into its different tracks.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
And yes, that does take a little bit more time and planning, but that would definitely set a film apart for me in its score.
Yeah, 100%. So,
So,
we have 4 categories.
we do.
Favorite composer, best needle drop, and a needle drop being a licensed song that is used in the film's soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite composition, so the actual song from the score done by the composer, and favorite overall score or soundtrack.
From a
So someone might say Baby Driver, which is just full of
needle drops.
licensed songs,
Yeah.
but someone might say
But it still works.
an original composition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, I've got
Composers.
everything except my needle drop.
Okay.
So let's go with favorite composer first.
Mhm.
And while we're talking, I'm going to scramble my brain and try to figure it
Okay.
out.
Do you want to go first, Cam? Who's your favorite composer?
Well, this was a real toss-up for me because there are so many great movies and so many composers that I have their music in my playlist and I will listen to on a daily basis because of how good it is. There are obviously some very clear standouts. Mr. Hans Zimmer.
John Williams?
Not so much, but yes.
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Sorry.
The princess appears and the twin sons. That track is one of the best pieces of music in cinema history that I've
Which one?
ever heard. Is it called Twin Suns? No?
No.
What movie is this from?
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
A New
Oh,
Hope,
yeah.
when Luke is standing out looking at the sun setting.
Oh,
That piece of music.
yeah,
that
the
is
Force
one of-
theme.
Yeah, the Force theme.
Yeah,
Sure. That is one of the best tracks I've ever heard.
100%.
And it is in my top 3 favorite
Interesting.
tracks.
Yeah. In the A New Hope score,
It's called The Princess Appears, but it's part of it in the album,
yeah.
but
I see.
it does have a specific
Okay, my
name.
bad.
Yeah.
Binary Sunset.
That's
one.
what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also John Powell, who has done the How to Train Your Dragon movies, which Oliver loves.
Who's that?
Oliver.
Yeah.
Ollie.
Ah.
John Powell.
No, me.
Oh.
I was just...
Identity crisis.
No, no one says that name. It doesn't exist.
It's a dead name, okay.
But
I'm sorry.
he's done the How to Train Your Dragon movies, the Ice Age movies, Happy Feet,
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda 1 and 2, alongside Hans Zimmer,
Solo, Bolt,
Solo, and a bunch of other animated movies.
Shrek.
Shrek.
Yeah. Wow.
He's done a lot. He has quite a repertoire.
Don't worry, darling.
Shrek.
X-Men: The Last Stand.
Oh, and Shrek.
I said Shrek.
Oh, you did. My
No,
bad.
don't worry. And then also Michael Giacchino,
I love him so much.
who cannot be understated.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember one specific thing that he's done.
The Batman.
The Batman. Yes. The Batman score.
The
theme.
Incredibles.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. I can't
Here,
think of... Oh my god.
So,
This is...
Werewolf by Night, Society of the Snow, Ratatouille, Up, The Incredibles 2, Coco, Inside Out, The Batman, Tomorrowland, Star Trek Into Darkness, Star Trek Beyond, Cars 2, War for the Planet of the Apes, Mission Impossible 4, Jurassic World
that's a great
Dominion,
one.
Mission Impossible 3, Rogue One, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Lightyear, Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home and No Way Home, Doctor Strange,
Inside Out.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
That's a great score.
I said that already.
Oh.
Cloverfield. Like, he's done heaps. Sky High.
He's a great
Sci-fi
blockbuster composer.
He's
Star Wars:
done
The Force
so much.
Awakens.
Yeah.
Alongside
He didn't do Force
John
Awakens.
Williams.
Oh right. Oh, he
Alongside.
did.
He did like
Yeah, I
elements
forgot
of it.
about that.
And then also a personal friend of the show, Mr. Ludwig
Ludwig.
Göransson.
Yeah.
He's
Who's
pretty
done
good.
Tenet,
Mandalorian. Oppenheimer.
Black Panther.
Actually,
Black Panther
everything
1 and
good to
2.
come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah, he's yeah,
So,
he's good.
Okay,
oh,
well,
there was one more. Hang on.
We've
one more.
mentioned a lot, and probably all three of
And
our
Danny
favorite
Elfman.
composers have already been mentioned.
Not true.
No. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us who your favorite is?
This was a big toss-up because I love Oppenheimer, but I also love How to Train Your Dragon. But I'm going to have to give it to Hans Zimmer because his scores never miss. And especially... Oh, what was it? What was the thing? I can't remember. Hang on. Let me find Hans Zimmer. But he... In an interview with Denis Villeneuve and about Dune Part 1, he was saying how Hans was still sending him tracks even when, like, after the film had been released.
Yeah.
And
Even Hans Zimmer has mentioned that in
Yeah.
interviews himself, and how while Dune Part 1 was on its press tour, he sent Denis a track which ended up being the love theme from Dune Part 2, which he calls the main theme
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
in Dune Part 2, which, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wrote that before Dune Part 2 was even greenlit, before Dune Part 1 was even officially out. Crazy.
Wow.
which is just insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hans Zimmer all the way.
Yeah. Respect.
Okay.
I think you do. You also do
Mine's
Pirates of the Caribbean?
obvious. It's
John
John Powell.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love all of the other people we mentioned. Fantastic composers, and my movie soundtrack, like, playlist is pretty much
John Powell.
exclusively the people you mentioned. but John Powell takes the cake. Like, I just think his scores are so fantastic.
I
Like,
think
the
he-
ones I listen to most on repeat are How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Pandas 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are all John Powell.
How to Train Your Dragon, The Flight. It's a genius comic.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things ever
Test
created.
Flight?
Yeah, yeah.
Test Drive.
Test Drive.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Okay, sorry. I'll leave.
How dare you?
Okay.
I think Romantic Flight, though.
Romantic Flight is fantastic.
I'd say, for me, I think I would put it above Test Drive. But
Never in a million years. I love Romantic Flight, but never in a million years is it above Test Drive.
100%. Yeah.
I get goosebumps every single time I listen to Test Drive.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie, How to Train Your Dragon, in so long. I still get goosebumps just listening to it because
Yeah.
I just know. But yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Jake, who's your favorite?
Give us your
So I
list.
love everybody that we mentioned, like Ollie just said. I mean, Ludwig's probably my favorite that we mentioned there. I think he is the best composer working today, in my opinion. But my favorite composer is Johnny Greenwood. He does all of Paul Thomas Anderson films. His score for
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood is one of my favorites. The reason I love his music so much in film is because it's so unique. It's not unlike anything else I've ever heard. Hans Zimmer, who I love, has made some scores recently that are pretty generic.
To be fair, yeah, we talked about his Kung Fu Panda 4 score,
Yeah.
and it really didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Same with The Creator. And that's a film that I think needs a pretty good score, in my opinion. I love Hans. I don't mean to, dog on him. His Dune Part 2 score is genius.
And there's a reason he is like, there's the masterclass series of things, and he
Yeah.
is the
He is the
person who
one.
is
Yeah.
the masterclass
Yeah.
for film scores.
Yeah. But Greenwood stuff is so unique and creates such a tone that nothing else can give me.
He did the Goblet of Fire.
Did he actually?
Well, that's
Greenwood.
what Google said.
He's
It
in.
was-
He's in the Goblet of Fire. Like
Oh.
he has a cameo.
Well, that's probably it.
Who does he? Is it like one of the students or a teacher or something?
He,
Or he's in when
I don't remember.
in one of the flashbacks, not the
Yeah.
flashback.
He hasn't done too much. He's done The Master, Paul Thomas Anderson, There Will Be Blood, Paul Thomas Anderson, Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson. He did The Power of Dog, which was an Australian film that came out in 2021. But yeah, his stuff is so great, in my opinion. He's also the lead guitarist of Radiohead, which is like my favorite band, so I feel like I have that connection to him too. I also love Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. They've done a lot of scores, most famously The Social Network, which we'll get into later. But they also did the scores for Gone Girl, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Mank, the Watchmen TV series, Gone Girl, the girl with the dragon tattoo, mid-90s. So yeah, I really like their stuff too. And Justin Hurwitz is the last one I'll mention. He does the Damien Chazelle movies.
I'll tell you what, there are a couple more people I want to honorable mention, and those are the Kiner family, Kevin Kiner and the Kiner brothers, who do the score for Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, The Bad Batch, and they did Ahsoka.
That
as
was
well.
great. Ahsoka was
And-
great.
Ahsoka was really good.
All of those scores absolutely slap.
So, back to Johnny Greenwood for a second. He's the lead singer of the band that plays during the full dance for the
That's
for the
hilarious.
Tri-Wizard Cup.
People, Radiohead fans would have been like,
And that's
What?
And Paul Thomas Anderson was watching Harry Potter. He was like, I got to get that guy. I got to get him.
100%. But yeah, the Kana family, it's a full family of composers, and they just smash it every time.
Yeah, the Ahsoka one's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So definitely honorable mention to them. But unfortunately, they don't beat John Powell for me.
Ooh, I really like James Newton Howard too. He's done some stuff with Hans Zimmer, like the Dark Knight score. He did Unbreakable. He's done Hunger Games. God, what else?
There's just so
Fantastic
many
Beasts.
people to mention. Like if
Yeah.
I go through Alan Silvestri, who
Oh,
did
he's
like
so
the
good.
Avengers one.
He's so great.
Howard Shore, who did
Oh, well, yes.
all of the Lord of the Rings and
Rings.
Hobbit, and he made like hundreds of extra pieces that didn't even make it into the movies that just like flesh out
Yeah.
the audio style of each of the like nations and the beings
Yeah.
and all the people.
We can
Steve
definitely-
Jablonski, who did the Transformers.
We can definitely all agree that we are spoiled for choice at the moment when it comes to quality scores in cinema.
Oh my God,
The
Studio
amount of
Ghibli.
composers.
Joe Hisashi.
So great.
It's just never ending. Like
Yeah.
there are so many fantastic people writing scores. Ennio Morricone.
Probably
did-
one of the best ever.
Yeah. It just
It just
we
keeps
we
going.
have to move on because otherwise we'll be here
Forever.
forever
100%.
talking about it.
100%.
But yeah,
Shall we get into needle drops?
I think so.
Yeah. I reckon we should. Jake, do you wanna go
God,
first?
I have this is like the hardest thing because
Daniel Pemberton.
he's so good. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this needle drop,
Changed his life.
What?
Changed your life.
he didn't change my life, no.
Oh,
John Powell changed my life.
okay. Sorry,
He,
Jake,
he
you
is
can keep
consistently my top artist on Spotify. John Powell.
That's iconic. I like
going.
that.
That's the one album.
Just from this one playlist.
Yep. Okay. Jake, you go.
Needle drop. This is so hard because a good needle drop will stick with me and turn some scenes into my favorite scenes ever. I have to just name a bunch. I'll go really quickly. Spill the Wine in Boogie Nights is probably my number one. It's the song that plays when the big party scene. She jumps under the pool. The camera goes under with
Your
her.
favorite scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Stuck in the Middle with You, Reservoir Dogs, really iconic use of that iconic song. It's a really happy song set to a very disturbing scene. Layla in Goodfellas, Scorsese is probably the best to use licensed music in movies. He's done it countless times, and he's just amazing at it. Modern Love in Francis Ha, the David Bowie song, really happy song, and just makes me feel so good. Probably one of my favorite songs just ever, and to see it used in the movie I already love. Amazing. Let's Stay Together, Pulp Fiction, really romantic song set to a song that is not romantic. Tarantino's really good at using music that juxtaposes moods. Life on Mars, Licorice Pizza, another David Bowie song. I think David Bowie is probably the best artist to have music used. His music is so cinematic. Out of Time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Night Call.
Tarantino here.
Yeah. Night Call in Drive and Where's My Mind in Fight Club. Those are just a few off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head.
I actually really struggled with this section, as I said earlier, because I focus so heavily on scores, I often skipped past the actual soundtrack. Like I really enjoy it when I'm when I'm watching the movie, but then afterwards I won't go and listen to what was that song in that movie? So it's like there's a lot of them that I don't even pay that much attention to.
Yeah, you just notice it's like, oh, it's a song. But the ones that stand out, though.
Yeah.
It is
and
hard
so
to...
I do have 3 that I want to talk about. One being very recent, the Jack Black, what's their band called again?
Tenacious D.
Tenacious D cover of
Hit
Me Baby One More Time, or Baby One More Time, by Tenacious D in Kung Fu Panda 4 just is so fantastic, and I think it's better than the original by Britney Spears. And
Hot take.
the moment in the film
I agree there.
is whatever, but the song itself, we're not here to talk about specifically.
I'd
the
argue it's
moment.
not even a moment. It's the credits.
Well, yeah, it's the credits.
It's the credits.
And I would argue, I think the song has to match the moment in a meaningful way.
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
But when I was explained what a needle drop was for the first time yesterday, I said, "Is it the moment?" And I was told, "No, it's just the licensed
Interesting.
song."
I think
if we
it's
talk-
both.
I think it's both, but I still want to mention the licensed song.
Yeah.
That
cover's really good.
I absolutely love the song, and I couldn't think of anything else. My other one is a bit of a meme, but I kind of love it. And I told Cam about this yesterday because he's not even up to it, but it's Karma Police in the pilot, in the first episode of season 2
I
of
screamed.
Invincible.
I screamed.
I know no other Radiohead songs, but I just think it's used so
It
well
is.
in the moment.
Great.
I
mix
had
of it.
never heard the song before. I think it's a fantastic song.
It's amazing.
And it works so well in this moment
Yeah.
of true turmoil for the character.
Dude, that was so great. I love that so much.
That's my second. But my number one, now if I had more time, this might not be my number one, but my number one, Life is a Highway in Cars.
Yeah, great choice. Fantastic
I just
choice.
think that is the one like song that I think of when I think of like Needle Drop. Life is a Highway. He's on this. He's just about to start this journey, like mentally and emotionally, as a character. But he's also on a physical journey. They're driving down the highway. It's so perfect, both metaphorically and literally.
100%.
And
Yeah.
the song itself, I do love. I know a lot of people don't like the song because it's kind of just annoying.
Bad
but
take.
I enjoy it, and I think I'll always belt it out when they play it in the movie. Also, not a lot of time do you hear like the full song or nearly the full song in a movie, and you hear most of it,
Yeah.
if not the whole thing, in Cars.
In Cars 2, they do a very similar one. I forget what it's called.
when they first arrive in Japan.
Yeah, when they're
Yeah.
taking off in the plane, but that is a very similar moment,
Yeah.
but it's not as iconic.
It's not as iconic, but I
It's
do love
still
that song.
a really good song. There's also, I think it's the credits of Cars 2, the Division of Worlds, I believe it's called. I think.
In Cars 2.
Cars 2, it's the credit song, but I think that also fits really well.
This
If you
is
just
this is
Google
the
it.
score, not the soundtrack.
Well,
I don't know.
I'll
Oh
just
yeah,
find
Collision
it
of
now.
Worlds. There
Yeah,
it is.
Collision of Worlds. There you go. Yeah. No? Maybe?
I don't remember it.
Fair. Before I give mine, I will say special shout out to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes,
I did.
dude,
I
they
was
have
thinking
so
about
many.
Mr. Blue Sky
Amazing one.
Yeah.
from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's definitely my top from Guardians of the Galaxy.
I like the
Father
chain.
and Son from
That
Volume
one makes
2.
me cry all the time.
Yeah.
Who's
seems-
that by?
can't
Yusuf
remember.
and Cat Stevens.
Cool.
The Chain is really good by Fleetwood Mac.
The Chain is also
Yeah,
very good.
definitely.
Well, oh my god. There's this other
Oh
one
my
that I
god! And
forget.
Volume 3 has a Radiohead needle drop in the beginning, and then
Yeah, it
the
does.
Dog Days Are Over is an amazing one too.
Yeah.
That is a really great scene, and I think it's what made that movie so good and stand so apart from the other.
I'm still sad they didn't play All Star in Volume 3 because it was 70s in Volume 1, 80s in Volume 2.
So it should have been.
But then they
90s.
didn't do 90s in Volume 3
They did.
because
Creep is 90s.
well, they
Like-
did like just
He got a
iconic
Zune.
songs.
He got a Zune, so
Yeah.
he had all the songs.
Yeah, that's true.
And there were a whole bunch of memes about like doing All Star and him like actually kicking down a door, sort of like they did it in
Yeah,
Shrek.
yeah.
That
would've been fun.
And referencing that, but they didn't do it.
Yeah, it starts with the 90s with Creep, and then it ends with the 2000s with Dog Days Are Over.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of did it, but not really.
They didn't go all in, I agree.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Also, well, actually, I'll just say mine. Mine is "Am I Dreaming" by Metro Boomin and A$AP
Oh,
Rocky.
how did I not
In-
even think of either of the
in
Spider
Across
Verse?
the Spider Verse.
Yeah.
That was one of like, when I first went to watch this movie, I didn't know it was a part one, or kind of part one.
A lot of people didn't.
But
Yeah.
that was
I
like,
did, and I was surprised. But like, I was surprised that a lot
Yeah.
of people didn't. But a lot of people didn't.
It was
I
such
know.
a beautiful ending, though, with this song included, and the memes that came out of it were also very good. I'll find you some at the end.
I haven't seen any of them.
They're great.
They are so good. But this song,
Yeah.
it is, yeah, it's awesome.
Spider-Verse, the first one, Sunflower.
Well,
is
yeah,
a great
Sunflower
choice.
Sunflower is really
I
good.
think it still is like the most streamed song or something like that. Or
Wow.
not streamed. It's got some award for being the most played in
Mhm.
some capacity.
Mhm.
And it's like it was made for Spider-Verse. So
Speaking of Spider-Man, in Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi one, there's this song that goes like, "Raindrops are falling on my head," and it's like a really happy song. While
It's
Peter's
called-
just, it's like a montage of Peter just getting like bullied and destroyed. It's genius.
compared to the third one where he's like,
Where he's
Bully
dancing the
Maguire.
jazz song, that's also iconic,
Yeah.
and I love that moment.
let me just find the song. But the other moment when Gwen and Miles are just like swinging through the city.
Mona
at the
Lisa.
time. Mona
Yeah.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is also an amazing moment.
Yeah.
That was very so close to being my favorite. But yeah.
No, Am I Dreaming
Recently.
is a great choice.
I think Am I
love it.
Dreaming is my favorite from that.
I like Annihilate. on that song.
I'm just looking at it now because I need to.
When was it?
It's right before he gets taken into the Spider Society. You know, when he follows Gwen and he's sneaking up on her.
Am I Dreaming? Calling.
I think
Hummingbird.
I'll have to.
Hummingbird's great.
And Annihilate
Hummingbird is
are
really underrated.
Probably my top.
I watched the cinema wins of Across the Spider-Verse and only just like discovered it kind of, but it is such an underrated song that not
Just
many
that
people talk
soundtrack
about.
makes you feel like you're Miles, like you
100%.
are Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and like you're feeling the emotional beats.
What do you mean? I am Spider-Man.
That he does, and there's nothing better than a soundtrack that does that.
There's literally so many I could think of here. It's crazy. I feel like, there's just so many iconic ones to mention.
I think a solid 40% of my like entire library of songs is made up of movie scores or needle drops from movies.
I found
TV
so much good
shows.
music just through needle drops. I mean, if I didn't watch Martin Scorsese, there's some bands I just wouldn't be into.
The amount of
So
times
it's
that
really
I've
awesome.
shamedly pulled out my phone to Shazam a song during a film.
You know why I love Amazon Prime is they got the X-ray feature.
I love that.
It's genius.
It's so good.
So whenever there's a song, you're just like, oh, what's that?
There's a couple songs in
Not
Invincible
sponsored.
season 2 that are needle drops, but that were commissioned for.
Yes. What was the one when
It's by, like,
him and
David or
him and
something.
him and Amber are on the date?
I don't know, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll find it. But favorite composition of all time, individual composition.
Yeah. I'm only gonna name one.
I'm only going to name
Mine
one as
is
well.
In Motion from the Social Network soundtrack by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. This stands out above anything else. This is one of the most just energetic and unique and makes me want to create more than anything. I wrote like a whole feature based off just the vibe of this track. This has inspired me more than, some movies that I
You
love.
wrote a whole feature.
I tried to, and I got, significantly through it, and I have it all planned out, and I'll come back to it one day. But yeah, it literally
That's
just
cool,
wrote
dude.
a lot of pages and a whole story just based off
Yeah.
the vibe of the energy of this song. So
Yeah, I have a script idea that's based off a song, but it's not a needle drop or a composition.
yeah,
But it's cool to be inspired by songs because they really
it's amazing. Yeah,
they're in a way almost like they're so viscerally emotional because it's just like 3 to 5 minutes of just
Raw
audio
emotion.
that goes straight into your brain
Mm.
with nothing to filter it.
yeah.
And if you have a good quality set of speakers or headphones, it makes it
You feel
so
it
much
throughout
better.
your whole
And some-
body.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, if you guys sit down to just like listen to music,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll always do that before I go to bed.
100%.
I'll just like lie in my bed with some AirPods on and listen to this. I've got a playlist called Cinematic, and it's just got my favorite scores.
Yeah, I've got the same thing.
And I'll just press shuffle and sit there for 20-40 minutes and just listen to music and absorb it.
Yeah. And in this case, to be inspired by a song without any lyrics, I find is really interesting
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Just by the energy and by what's happening. I love that so
yeah,
much.
definitely. The song from Invincible is called "Feel It," and it's
That was a great
it's an
song.
original song.
That was
for
a
the,
great one.
for the show.
Yeah.
So
Before we get into favorite compositions, real quick, special shout out to the Arcane. No, I'm serious. Some of the
I'm just laughing because we should have.
I know, we should have moved on.
structured.
Sorry,
no,
I'll be
we
quick,
should
I'll
have
be quick.
structured this better.
Yes.
I don't care about moving on.
Arcane is the album for Arcane. I only have one song that I've taken out of like my downloaded playlist because I just don't like it. But I have the entire rest of the show in my playlist. And
Which one did
absolutely
you
love
take out? Was the Imagine Dragons one?
It wasn't actually. It
Good.
was.
Everyone hates Imagine Dragons. I like Imagine Dragons.
I mentioned
I love
Imagine
Imagine
Dragons
Dragons.
when Ben was here, and he got really, really angry. I don't know why, but the song is called "When Everything Went Wrong."
Interesting.
That's the one you took out, or
That's
the one
the
you
one
really
I took
like?
out.
Okay.
I do really like "Enemy" from Imagine Dragons, and the way that it's in the show, the way that they use it in the show.
Yeah.
Is
I
pretty
still
good.
need to watch it. But when does season 2 come out?
November.
Okay, I'll just wait and then I'll watch the whole thing.
Oh.
Get excited.
I didn't realize the main chick from Fallout is in Arcane. That's awesome.
She voices Jinx.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
She's also in an episode of Invincible, in the finale of Invincible, in one tiny little cameo role.
In season 2?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
No, you wouldn't have,
Yeah.
because no one did. I didn't.
Okay.
Yes, so favorite composition.
Jake's already said his.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking at my most played songs, and what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My 7th highest played song is "Romantic Flight" by John Pell.
There you go. Is it your favorite?
Yeah.
You reckon it's your favorite composition?
Yeah, this is a problem because there's so many compositions that I absolutely vibe with, but finding one singular one is so hard, and I know you guys is the same, but yeah, I think at the moment "Romantic Flight."
Cool. I'm glad because now we're gonna have 2 How to Train Your Dragon ones because mine is and always will be Test Flight.
Yeah. Test Drive.
Test Drive.
Wow, bro.
You screwed
You're
me
done.
up
You're
earlier.
gone.
Wow.
Nah, you
Get
did
out.
it earlier.
Look at this
you
guy.
screwed me up. I hate you guys.
I can't believe he'd mess up the name of
Yeah.
this song, this really awesome song that he listens to so much.
Yeah. You know,
I
I'm
don't
going
know
to
why
actually
you did
change
this.
my answer to Test Drive.
You mean Test Flight?
Are you actually?
Don't mess with me.
Are you genuine?
No.
Okay, I was going to say. No, Test Drive, it's just such a masterful piece of composition. The way John Powell combines Hiccup's theme and Toothless's theme in their moment of triumph as they finally fly together. But in the first part of the song, when they're still struggling with each other, it's still their individual tracks, like bits of them. It's just
It's genius.
so well done. And
Does
like I
Hamilton-
said earlier, I just get goosebumps every time I listen to it.
Goof bumps.
I'll give you a goof bump if you're not careful.
Alrighty.
But yeah, I love that. There was a good chunk of time when I would have said that it was my favorite song, not just favorite composition, and it's still very much up there. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something special.
Alright, now for the final category, your favorite film score.
How to Train Your
music
Dragon
/
1.
Altogether. Okay, cool. What about you, Jake?
Mine's The Social Network. I listen to that album literally the whole front to back all the time, especially when I'm writing anything. It makes me create, it helps me work, it helps me relax, it gets me motivated. It's
That's the same with me for How to Train Your Dragon. Like,
Yeah.
I'll just listen. There have been times I've listened, like, front to back, it's finished, and I've just hit play on the start again.
Yeah.
And it just goes through.
Yeah.
Just looped the whole soundtrack.
Yeah.
And every little piece of it is so satisfying. And then you can go straight from the first one to the second one, and you feel the differences, but it still feels like it's the same soundtrack. I don't know. It's just, I just really enjoy it.
Sometimes I put The Social Network on in the background and I don't even watch the movie. I just have the soundtrack and then the dialogue, which are both so pleasing to listen to. So yeah, I think that it says a lot that those are our favorites because obviously we.
I actually do. I do that with Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
because I love that movie.
that's a great movie. Yeah, and the score. And
Score is
dialogue
fantastic.
You didn't have to specify. I put it on because I hate that movie.
I don't know. I felt like it. But yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, I loved the soundtrack, but it took me longer to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of songs that are sort of, because of the mixing of like artistic styles, there are a couple of songs that also a mix of styles. And like there's this really epic song, Miles Morales Returns.
Yeah.
And it's right at the end of the film when he reveals himself in his new costume after the What's Up Danger scene.
What's Up Danger is a great interlude.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But after that scene, they're at the Collider and they're fighting and they're losing, and then Miles comes in and it's this epic moment. Fantastic scene, fantastic track, but then it gets to like 3/4 of the way through the song, and because of what's happening on screen, it switches up to be like a Looney Tunes-esque thing because of Spider-Ham. And I love Spider-Ham, and I think it really works in the movie, but when I'm just listening to it in my headphones, I just want more of the epic first part of the song where it's just Miles being awesome Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just took me longer to get into.
Fair enough.
Cam, what's your favorite score?
So this is a toss-up between 3. So Across the Spider-Verse, and especially Gwen's theme in that.
Yeah,
Start a band.
Spider-Woman, I love it. And then Loki Season 2, surprisingly.
That is a very good soundtrack.
It is
Great score.
a standout for a TV show. Natalie Holt did an amazing job on this.
You know, she also scored Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show.
Damn.
Couldn't have told
Now I do.
because score there.
It's very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
But overall, Ratatouille.
yeah.
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 I'm not
Fair
surprised.
No
Yeah.
complaints.
I,
You know.
I do love Ratatouille, but both the movie and the soundtrack have never hit me like in such a strong way as they have for other people. Like, I wouldn't put it over How to Train Your Dragon.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, there are other animated movies that do that for me.
Quickly,
there are other movies. That
Where's
do that.
Ratatouille in your Pixar ranking? We might have talked about this.
I think I did. It was like...
It's
it was,
very high for you.
It
I know
was,
that, right?
it was equal with WALL-E and... I think it was equal with WALL-E.
And
Yeah.
Coco.
And
They were the
oh,
three you
Coco
said.
was just under.
I thought
but yeah.
Cars.
Actually, Cars too.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah. Okay.
I do really enjoy it, but it's...
it's one of those classic Pixar
I like.
films. Though,
I
that
think
we all grew up
quality-wise, it's up there. Rewatchability, it has high rewatchability, but my personal rewatchability,
yeah.
I don't find myself wanting to go back and watch it very often.
I feel the exact same way about Up. I think Up is a great movie for the first 15 minutes and then a fine movie for the rest of the movie. But that's just me.
But they get all the feelings out within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, and then it's like, why are we watching the rest? Like, it frustrates me so much.
the waveform.
It's
went
a movie for
crazy.
No, it's not.
It's actually for Jake. It was made for Jake.
It's a movie for kids, but it's also a movie for adults. Kids
Ratatouille, though, is a
kids
good
aren't
pick.
relating to that opening scene in Up.
No, that's a very bluey moment right there, though.
Yeah.
I like it. Sick. Well, that was our favorite film score
Yeah.
music. That was...
It was a bit hectic
It was a bit
Yeah.
hectic.
because I think we all just love it so much that we.
It's hard to pick one.
Yeah.
There's so much.
And
we're also passionate
there
about
is a
it.
lot
so
to talk
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So much
I
we
think
can
it would be
watch.
very interesting to hear a composer talk about their favorite score.
Yeah,
We should have had a guest.
we should have.
Yeah.
Well, next time.
Charlie?
Unfortunate.
Next time. So, what's new with the Film Society?
We announced.
Well, we did announce the screening. We did talk about this last week. But
we said something was coming.
we said something was coming.
But did we announce it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did. Right, because they would
we
be out.
recorded on the Monday and
Yeah.
it comes out on the Friday.
Well,
but
yeah.
I sent the post a little bit late. It was like 5 past because I was still writing a
Wow,
caption
Cam.
and like rewriting
Wow.
it. But
Man hasn't learnt about
Yes.
scheduled posts.
it's no. Well, now I know.
Now
Yeah,
you
you
know.
told me about this yesterday. Yeah, so we're having a student film screening open to first years, second years, third years, and alumni.
Yeah.
The main idea is send us everything and anything and everything, but films that you're especially proud of that you've made. So David's been telling me about some of the first year's shoot and edits and how he's really amazed by what they have
wow.
made with, like, for a 1 minute film.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes less. Like the quality of stuff that he has seen has amazed him. So I'd be really keen to see that. But also some of the documentaries from the second years that we didn't get to see at the end of last year, and also the short film production, the final films for this semester. But also some of the third year films as well, probably again.
Yeah.
And then anything people have been working on outside of uni, as long as it's under 20 minutes.
Yeah. Submissions are due on May 10th. We've already had some people submit.
Oh,
which
that's
is exciting.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Is the drop off already submitted?
it isn't actually.
Cam.
Well, I'll just take it on my USB
Sure.
and plug it in.
It'll be in 2B9.
I won't be submitting anything because I've actually never made anything I'm proud of.
Oh, fair enough.
No, I'm kidding.
It's okay.
I'm
No,
kidding.
I made the drop off. So
Exactly.
I'm
No,
gonna
you did
submit.
90% of the
I'm gonna
work.
submit
No,
a gangster
no.
film that Martin Scorsese once called the best he's seen since his own.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
all I'll
sure
say.
he said.
That's
I'm
all I'll
sure
say.
he said that.
Sure he did.
in real
No,
life.
I'm not submitting that.
You should. You should.
No,
I'll
I
submit and
shouldn't.
tell me you care. No, actually, it's another thing. The films can't be more than 2 years old, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nor longer than 20 minutes.
No
Yeah.
longer than 20 minutes. But apart from that, go
Free
crazy.
reign.
To be 9 on the 16th.
Yeah,
At
we do
5.
also have categories and
Prizes.
prizes for said categories. So yeah, like I mentioned, first year, second year, third year, open.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, it's not fancy dress, is it? We're not doing fancy dress.
I thought we were.
All right,
Fancy dress.
it's fancy dress. Come dress fancy.
Yeah, stay tuned on our Instagram page
Is
for more
fancy
information.
costume or is fancy very smart?
Smart,
Okay.
smart,
yeah.
casual, or
Damn.
more.
I was going to come dressed as Andy from The Drop Off.
I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No.
He's not
no.
a fancy dresser. So
No.
yeah.
I think I should be wearing more than underwear.
You know what? I think we make an exception if you bring a bike.
No, I'm not doing it. It was a good joke, but the bit's over now, and
He's
I'm
coming
not
in
doing
on the
it.
bike. That'd be so
It's
funny.
coming down the
I'll
road.
come.
Let's
I'll
go
come
to
in on a.
Lakeshore
I'll
Theatre.
come in on a bike, but I won't be dressed as Andy.
Oh, then what's the point?
Bet.
We'll see. We'll see in a month
What's the
what
point?
happens.
Yeah, like we said, apart from that, though, I think we're done for the Soviet film screenings.
There's one more.
One more. There is
This
one more.
Thursday, so it'll be done by.
We'll be done by the time this episode
Yeah.
comes
Will be
out.
done, unfortunately. But that was, if you've made it along to those screenings, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate
It's
it.
gonna happen again in semester 2.
It definitely will be.
Soviet or something different?
Something,
Probably more Soviet, but
What about
whatever,
Kurosawa
'cause-
films?
whatever.
because
Ben
we can only
decides.
do
Oh, you can
Soviet
only do
because
what's-
regarding to the
Copyright,
yeah.
that whole thing.
yeah.
Unfortunate.
But who knows?
Unless.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, unless
We
some
do.
Kurosawa would be awesome.
What was there?
I'd
There
come.
was another thing that was coming up. We are also looking for an editor for the radio show.
Yeah.
Send us an email or a DM on Instagram if you are interested. So we record these on a Monday and they're published on Friday, so they need to be done by the Thursday. Preference is if you have undertaken the class of sound design with David or have previous experience with sound designing in general. The role is unpaid, but it is a good thing to stick on your resume if you're excited, if you're keen to get into this kind of field in the future.
Easy.
That's it from the Film
Fantastic.
Society. Take it away.
Thanks for joining us for this week of Off Camera. We'll see you next week.
It's a wrap.
See you.